Hi, this is Angie to Claudio, and for this final video, I have identified three themes as being particularly impactful to me during the course of this term. The first was content expertise, the second, emotional intelligence, and the third was overall sustainable organizational development. Regarding content expertise, an expert is someone basically who has comprehensive or authoritative knowledge in a particular area. From an OD perspective, content expertise is necessary to help organizations create a sustained pattern of learning and innovation around technical sustainability knowledge. This is important to me because from my experience, organizations are wrought with experts, especially when it comes to functional or technical areas within an organization. The OD practitioner comes in as the expert in social systems, how to change social systems, how to function as a third-party change agent, and the OD practitioner has to provide the support and guidance to help the functional areas align with the changing social structure. But it's the organization that should supply the expertise in the functional areas that may be impacted in order to address and sustain that change. Regarding my current level of mastery, I would say on a scale of 1 to 5, I think my level is about a 2.5. And though I've had experience with a significant change process, I'm still trying to identify ways to empower my internal experts towards sustainable change. Regarding specific actions I can do to further develop this theme, currently I'm working on what I would consider a small-scale organizational change project. Though this particular change impacts many areas within the organization, the technical expertise lives in my span of care and influence for the most part. I'm trying to build a system where initial collaboration leads to proposal and eventual action by the technical experts because they're the ones who know what needs to happen and why and when. Additionally, I have incorporated the idea of using learning labs for training purposes and especially when navigating a change right now on a smaller scale. My action plan to help me achieve this, primarily I plan to incorporate content expertise in the change process to be sure that I utilize my own internal experts, their participation at any level of change from insignificant to structural and beyond. An example of this was from a recent implementation of a new training program for my front-facing customer service employees. Each employee was actually, who had some measure of tenure, was asked to write a section of the training manual and make it complete with examples and sample scenarios, mini case studies, if you will. These were all reviewed and vetted by the department lead and were incorporated into an interactive learning lab to function as a tool for both new hires for training and references for current staff. So that was one of my initiatives that I actually want to now make more widespread throughout my department. Additionally, I plan to incorporate a way to identify and measure employees' content expertise, their contributions of content expertise, and maybe put that into my review process. I view this as a positive way to encourage employee engagement and provide opportunity for recognition. Regarding who I would discuss my plan with and who will keep me accountable, for all my future initiatives, I'll be discussing my plan with my direct supervisor, who's at an associate VP level and has significant organizational influence, as well as engaging with all appropriate staff members in similar practice when any new initiatives requiring content expertise arise. And I have primarily two assistant managers in my span of care that would be the people who I think would be straight in line with helping me manage and identifying who my content experts are. My next theme is emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence, or EQ, basically enables leaders to understand and deal with their own internal responses, feelings, and moods. It also yields insights and skills necessary for relating to other people. The reason this is important to me as a manager is that I am in constant interaction with my team members, so it's important for me to be in tune with them and their needs. Additionally, I oversee a high-volume service department, which means there's lots of customer interaction as well, and that requires me to be sensitive to the needs of a different group of people. Regarding my mastery of EQ, I'd probably put my scale using the same scale of 1 to 5. At this time, I'd consider myself like a 3.5, maybe moving towards a 4 in this area. And I consider that a pretty high rating, and I don't arrive there due to any inflated self-perception. In fact, I think it's been a long journey over the course of an almost 30-year career that's afforded me some insights into people and being able to kind of read a room. I also think that I'm innately wired in this area. Most of my strengths from the StrengthsFinder inventory revolve around influencer strengths like includer, woo, empathy, harmony. This, along with a really sincere desire to serve people, I think helps me remain sensitive to the needs and experiences of others. Some specific action items to help me develop this theme would be moving forward. I'd like to incorporate a stronger strengths approach to my management style. I do believe that if people can understand how to apply themselves through the filter of their talents and abilities, that they will find greater satisfaction in the work they do. Another action is to work towards being a better listener. I am an external processor and find myself more frequently than I'd like to admit, anxiously awaiting my turn to talk. And I know that this oftentimes means I've stopped listening as well. And so my action plan would be a couple things. First, I'd want to work with my HR department and our campus, Knoll Strengths Academy, to incorporate a consistent and thoughtful mechanism for managing by strengths. And then I would also like to discuss exercises that could improve my listening ability with both my supervisor and other trusted associates, so I can try to incorporate a different approach to how I interact with people one-on-one and in meetings. And as far as who I discuss that with, again, I work very closely with my direct supervisor, and I would trust that he would give me honest feedback regarding my progress in these areas, since he has opportunity to observe me in many capacities and meetings and customer interactions and staff interactions, presentations, etc. So I feel like he'd be probably my primary point, as well as I mentioned maybe some people that I would consider more mentors that I know would be give me honest feedback. Another thing I would like to consider is maybe 360 reviews where anonymous feedback is given, and I would be very open to hearing people's perceptions of my communication and listening style. So that would be another way for me to pursue that. My third theme is basically sustainable change, and I mean that's kind of what this whole course is about, but maybe as it relates to the stages of change. The reason I would, the way I define this particular theme is that the change process in general needs to be pursued with a clear vision of the ideal end state in mind. And a sustainable change must include creating environments where core innovations are produced and driven internally. So the reason this theme resonated with me was kind of that aha moment that sustainable change really requires participation beyond leadership and needs to entail things like creating learning environments in which the organization's members develop sustainable business practices together. And it's that together that is really the most impactful from my perspective, because so often I feel like I'm in an environment where so much lands on management to do for versus from management to give to and have other people navigate some of those changes that need to happen. My current level of mastery as it relates to this theme would probably be about a 3. In the past, I found it a challenge to deal with people who might have been in the loss and doubt stages, primarily because I'm one of those people who looks forward to change. So it just doesn't hit my radar that somebody is not enjoying this process. And so I view it as an opportunity for improvement versus something to be afraid of. So having a better understanding of the processes that people go through with significant change can allow me to be more empathetic and patient, as well as address fears head on when necessary. Also, regarding specific actions, whenever dealing with any kind of change, I think communication is always key, in my opinion. My specific actions will be more intentionality around who needs to be included and at what juncture to ensure people can start personally processing through the change. Additionally, I'll be more intentional around visualizing my ideal end state. I want to avoid being a ready, fire, aim person. I need to make sure I have a better handle on the plan needed to accomplish that end state. And The design of that plan is ultimately, I'll begin by shifting how I communicate with my direct supervisor. I want to kind of be very intentional. Once he and I are on the same page regarding a potential change, I can then shift my communications down the line to my assistant managers and the rest of my staff. But one of the things that I found to be incredibly helpful is to continuously reiterate the end game, and the VP of my department is very good at that. He consistently ties everything back to the core initiative, which reminds us why we are doing what we're doing, and that's, I think, a very helpful concept to adopt. And again, who I would discuss this with, as with most of my action plan, I feel my direct supervisor is my primary audience, with my support staff a close second, and then my people I consider as maybe peripheral associates that can maybe see things from a little different perspective and help me navigate some of that. At the end of the day, any meaningful change takes a village. It cannot be a singular effort, though a champion for a significant cause, I think, is always necessary. And my hope is that I am able to employ some of these theories to the benefit of my organization and to the people in my span of care, as we move through what is most likely going to be needed change in our future. So thank you very much.